Okay, so yeah, that worked. Got that out. The secondary side on this bike is just a plain bearing. When it presses in, it does not hit a shoulder. It actually, when you put that in, it actually sits up against your spacer, and that's what stops it. That's what sets the depth on that, so there's no shoulder for the race to sit on. This bearing on this bike is called my primary side. So when I put that in, there's a shoulder that bearing stops against. And if you notice, this bearing is different color. You see how it's kind of shiny right there? This is just black. This bearing can go in either way. This bearing has to go in that way because this bike is ABS equipped, and that is an encoder ring for the ABS sensor, which the ABS sensor is the spacer on this left side of the bike, and that's what picks up the signal, wheel speed signal for the ABS. So that bearing has to go in correctly. So yeah, let's try the Relux Pro tool again on this bearing, see how it goes, and if it works, then it paid for itself. I don't see where I hurt it at all. Here we go. Because my spacer's out, it'll fall right through now. Gotcha. But you can still feel it pull up against there. Go ahead and put this together loosely, because you can't get the big nut. This big nut, which you use to pull the bearing out with, will not fit over the expander dowel nut. Put that in loosely, just so I can still feel where the shoulder catches. And all this stuff is still wet. Got my expander dowel. Hopefully you can see this better than the last time. Put that through. Put that into there. And we'll put our washers on. And the nut to pull the expander up into the dowel so it stays in place. Give that a feel. Yep, right up against there. Now let's see if we can get that tightened into this bearing. I'm just snugging that down so that the teeth on that won't collapse and pull through the bearing, which I would imagine would probably snap off a tooth if you did that. All right, same deal. Let's see if we can get this one out with the tool. Assume that was our bearing releasing from the hub again. Out it comes. you can see how I put some never sees in the outside of that bearing before I put it in the wheel. And again, I'm glad I did. Sometimes different metals react to one another. But you can see how that grabbed the back side of that bearing. Pull that out. Let's my hands are terrible. I have terrible arthritis. It's hard for me just to switch sockets. Let's take this apart and see what it looks like. Expand her out. Of course, there's nothing wrong with this bearing. They come in pairs. You'll notice the inside, the different color, that tone wheel has a definite look to it. And on these bearings, they have a groove on them. And the groove goes inside. And see if you can see this. If you'll notice inside the wheel there's a shoulder. How can I show that? So there's a shoulder right there. And that's what this bearing will press in and hit and locate itself against. So that's your positioning. That's your primary side. This bearing, the new bearing would go in, move in, pull it until it stops, flip around to the other side, slide my spacer in, slide my other bearing in, pull it through. And we'll go ahead and set that up too, see if we can get that going. I realize the video is not great here. I'm doing this on the floor. I don't really have a bench in my shop here, but I imagine a lot of us just do stuff on the ground in our garages. This is a garage, not my shop. This is where we park the cars. So yeah, so far, for like I said, $34. Well worth it. I know I can do another set of bearings at least. Doesn't look like I've hurt that tool one little bit. It looks fine. Just make sure it's in there, and you snug that down so it expands and doesn't pull through the bearing and break off an ear. All right, cool. We'll check back after I clean everything up, get everything set up to install. We'll check back, see if I can get that on video.